Welcome to the AGF podcast. I'm Brandon, co-owner of the American Grappling Federation and host of today's show. Before I get into today's interview, I'd like to thank our sponsors. First, BJJ Tees and Just Roll. For the best apparel in Jiu-Jitsu, check them out at any AGF tournament or on Instagram and Facebook at BJJ Tees. That's at BJJTEES. Next, EZ Flex Mats. For your premier home, gym, or sports mats, go to ezflexmats.com. That's ezflexmats.com. Also, Tanita Scales, the official scales of the NCAA Wrestling Championships and the American Grappling Federation. Never miss weight by going to tanita.com. That's TANITA.com. Last, our 2020 charity, the ALS Association. To learn about donating, events, or volunteering, go to alstexas.org. And now on to the show. All right, guys, back with another episode. I'm here with a dynamic duo, the Alvarez crew. We are based in Arlington, Texas.
Yes, sir.
For you guys that are listening in and don't know where Alvarez is at, and I've known them for quite a few years. Like we were talking earlier, I've been in Texas for about 12 years, but have seen Danny competing and on the competition scene, coaching as well too. It's got a very, very successful school. Danielle was probably a blue belt when I first started seeing you, and now she's a black belt. Very accomplished. Both of them world champions. So this will be an awesome interview. They also have a very successful school, got a technique and walkthrough that you guys will see on YouTube and whatnot, Instagram, separately from this podcast. But anyways, thank you for being on the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good to see you guys. Man, just to start it off with, let's talk about how you started and just tell your story,
Okay.
And you can chime in anytime you want,
Okay. Yeah. It's just like a lot of people that have been training for a long time. Hoist Gracie, of course, I was 18, that was in November of 93, so I had already graduated, saw that for the first time, watching some young skinny Brazilian guy just take out these big guys, and of course I'm not that big of a guy, so I had wrestled in high school, so I was like, man, that looks kind of similar. I want to learn that stuff, and of course, right when it happened, there was no jiu-jitsu academies at that time, and we're in Michigan, we're in Saginaw, Michigan, and took a couple years for it to get there. There's a Taekwondo black belt that was flying to Torrance to learn some jiu-jitsu, bring it back. I think he was a blue belt at the time. He started teaching classes, some basics, there's like 1 or 2 classes a week. And then, some guys that I would train with, we'd train in the living room, outside in the grass. One of the friends I had, he had a shed, it's cold, he put some mats down, we're out there freezing, we just wanted to learn it. We had VHS tapes back then, so you'd order a tape, wait for it to come in the mail, pop it in the VCR, trying to watch that kind of stuff. And that's basically how, I caught the jiu-jitsu bug, man. I was just like, instantly, like how most people that train jiu-jitsu just fell in love with it right away. And it's like, man, I've just been chasing it ever since, And in Michigan, it was just hard because, like I said, there really was no jiu-jitsu academy. It was Taekwondo with a little bit of jiu-jitsu in it, and that really wasn't the focus. So, it wasn't until I moved down here to where I got the real goodies.
Well, the great thing, like we were talking about earlier about this podcast, is we get to hear people's stories and we get to know each other a lot more. You and I have grappled together, we've gone to seminars together, we've had our students compete against each other, but I've never really got to sit down and talk to Danny Alvarez or Danielle, right? And I've already learned something about you. I did not know that you wrestled. So, even though he showed a butterfly guard technique today, he could have showed it single leg, but he didn't.
Yeah.
So did you wrestle like just high school, or
it was just high school. It was just one of those things where like some friends of mine, they were wrestling, and they would just beat me up all the time, man. And I was like tired of this stuff because I grew up playing baseball and basketball. And my dad never put me in like a combat type art or sport, so I just went and walked down by myself and just was like, man, I gotta do something. I'm tired of these dudes whipping on me all the time. So it wasn't until my sophomore year when I joined the wrestling team, and then I got a most improved wrestler that year. and then I wrestled my senior year too. But then after that, that was it. It was just those 2 years. But I had fell in love with wrestling, and when I found jiu-jitsu, I was like, man, this is very, very similar, except for the submissions and stuff. But the mat work and everything and the training was very similar, and I just was like, man, this is great, because you know, when I got out of high school, I didn't go to college to wrestle or anything, but I still wanted to do it, and the next closest thing or the best thing was jiu-jitsu.
Michigan's a heck of a wrestling state, though.
Yes, it is.
You didn't wrestle, did you?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She didn't start anything until here. I think she was 6 or 7 when we moved here. So she was.
So you were born in Michigan.
She was born in Michigan, but she's a Texas raised here.
Did you originally move here because of General Motors?
Yeah, so I came on vacation one summer because, you know, you get the 2-week shutdown for General Motors. At least we did. I don't know if they do now, but I came to Arlington and I was driving on 30, and Carlos Machado had a school right by Six Flags on the service road. And I remember driving by and I looked and I'm like, it says RCJ Machado, and I was like, oh man. So I was like, took the next exit, busted a U-turn, came back around, and that's when I met James Brown and Alan Shabaro. And they were purple belts at the time. So I walk in and I was like, see these guys doing jiu-jitsu, and it says Machado Jiu-Jitsu, and at that time I had already knew who the Machados were because I think it was Roger Machado came to Saginaw, Michigan to do a seminar at that Taekwondo school I was at. So I got introduced to the Machados. So when I came here on vacation, all I really knew was the Machado name and the Gracie name, of course.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, so then I've known Alan and JB since they were purple belts, and so they let me roll, and then they noticed that I knew a little something, so they're like, well, let's roll with us now. So of course they rolled me up, you know what I mean? Because I was giving some guys a hard time because of the little jiu-jitsu that I did know, plus the wrestling. They came out on the mat and gave me some humble pieness that day. But then when I went back home on vacation, I came back to Michigan. Obviously I saw a General Motors plant right behind Six Flags. So I was like, man, it looked nice, seemed like a really nice place. It's like the Cowboys are here, Dallas Stars, the Mavericks, all this stuff. They got jiu-jitsu and General Motors here. I'm like, so I put my transfer in, just thinking, I'm just gonna put transfer in. Never in my right mind that I thought that they were gonna call me, and they did. And they sent me a letter actually and said, you need to report to the Arlington plant in 3 weeks.
That's pretty fast.
Man, was it fast? I mean, I was like, it was unreal, and I only had one opportunity to take it.
That's not too fast. You can't even close out your apartment lease or nothing in that time.
They said 3 weeks, man. And my mom, my dad, everyone was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you're just gonna up and leave? Because that's where I grew up. I'm born and raised in Saginaw, you know, and I was 26 at the time. And I was
all 26 years there.
Yeah. Okay. I was really impressed with the Arlington area, the way it looked. I mean, you gotta think about where we're coming from. Saginaw, Michigan it's my hometown, but it's a lot of boarded up places. It's not a lot of money coming in. They're not rebuilding. It doesn't look like this, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It looks like the economy's bad. You know, here it doesn't look like it's thriving here. It looks good. And it really just caught my, you know, I was just like, man, it's an opportunity to move. They're going to help pay me to move, all this stuff. I did it, man. I don't know what I was even thinking back then, man. I just was so excited, and I was like, man, I'm going to be training jiu-jitsu. That's really, a lot of it had to do with jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It really did. It's like, yeah, I'm going to transfer. But I really was thinking about not so much General Motors, but I was thinking about jiu-jitsu and then changing my lifestyle into a better place. And of course, for my family and everything else, I'm gonna move into what it looks like a better place. And they train jiu-jitsu there. And I'm like, man, Carlos is there, Alan and them are there, and I'm like, I'm doing it. And then I did it, man. I moved down here in August of 2001.
Nice.
2001.
I thought just around the block, whatever. I thought that you got a transfer here and then you started jiu-jitsu.
No,
so
I came here, and a big part of me moving was jiu-jitsu because like I said, we were starving up there for jiu-jitsu. I was on second shift up there. There was like 1 or 2 classes. I think for a while he kind of cut those morning classes out, and they just had evening classes. That's where all the living room grappling, backyard grappling, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. Oh man, Alvarez knows that stuff. show that stuff, man. I'm like, dude, it's, you know what I mean? Next thing you know, you're rolling in the grass in someone's backyard or front yard in the middle of the night. And because I know this stuff, they didn't even know what it was called.
Yeah.
It's like, he knows that stuff. And so I'm like choking my friends out. And then I just wanted to learn it, man. And then when I came down here and I met Alan and JB, I was like, that's all I thought about on the way home was like, I can transfer and there's jiu-jitsu there. And that was a big motivator, and I did it. And that's how I ended up here. And then when I did decide to come back to where they were at, they closed it, and that's when Mr. Waugh took over. That's when Mr. Waugh took over that
Orlando
spot.
Waugh.
Orlando Waugh, he took over that spot. But he was a Machado brown belt at the time, and that's how I ended up over there.
And you went white through black belt with him, didn't you?
Yeah, I was a white belt obviously for a long time because I started in Michigan and you know, really didn't require get any rank through the guy. He was a blue belt, you know, at the time or whatever. So I was a forever white belt, man. You know, but I went from white to blue belt here with Mr. Waugh, Orlando, from it was like 6 months. He gave me a blue belt like right away. 'Cause he's like, yeah, this isn't.
Experience.
Yeah. He could just see already with the wrestling and stuff I did know. Couldn't just keep me at white belt.
He's I wouldn't say underrated's the right word. Not known about so much.
Oh, he's like a hidden gem, man.
Yeah.
Like he's a hidden, like, man, assassin. Like, people should know about him. But you know, he had his family, started to have his family and stuff, so he's really low key, but is just phenomenal jiu-jitsu. Great guy, great teacher, like man, great everything. You know what I mean? Like for a big guy, he can do the splits, man. It's insane. I was like, that's how I went to
know
it.
that.
Yeah, he can just do no stretch, man. Just do that. And like kick in the air and do all this stuff. It was nuts. So I went to a Winter Wars Carlos Machado tournament one day, and I just drove out there, and that's when I went and talked to Alan, and he was reffing, and he's like, man, you see that big guy over there, man? He goes, he's opening that school where we were at. You need to go train there with him. You know what I'm saying? And at first, you know, you kind of judge a book by a cover. You shouldn't do that. You know, he's like, man, this big guy, and don't really look like he's built like he does jiu-jitsu. You know
For you guys that are listening, Orlando Waugh is a big
he's a really big guy.
Grandissimo.
Yeah, but he plays jiu-jitsu like a small guy, man. He'll shoulder roll. He does anyways. So yeah, I spent white through black belt with him and learned a lot, not just jiu-jitsu wise, but you know, just being a better person under him was. I wasn't some trouble kid or something, but being under the right instructor obviously can mold you into a better person, and I learned a lot of great things from Mr. Waugh.
Carlos Machado Winter Wars. I was at the last one. Those were OG ones.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, if I remember correctly, Lovato won that one.
Mm-hmm.
He was still competing at the Winter Wars.
Yeah.
And I think like Travis Took
Travis
was up
Took,
there.
JB, all those guys
Yeah,
were
there
competing
was a
back
bunch
then.
of
Yeah,
dudes.
it was fun to watch.
I had a booth there.
Oh, okay.
Advertising the school and
Okay.
all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
fortunately, moving from California, I got to at least experience one of those before he didn't do those anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yep. Yeah.
And
That's
it
all
was
we
like-
had to look forward to. There was no IBJJF. There was no all these other tournaments. It was just you just couldn't wait for the Winter Wars.
And it was
to
like
come up.
700 people just
Yeah.
gi.
Yeah.
I think it was just adults too, right? Or was there kids?
I can't remember, but yeah, it was.
It was a
Yeah,
lot
it
of
was,
people.
it was it. And it was only a couple tournaments a year, maybe two, and maybe he'd sprinkle in another one. But besides that, it's not like it is now where there's tournaments everywhere and there's so much you can compete like almost every month or
Oh, I
something.
feel you.
like
I'm a
that,
tournament promoter.
Yeah, so
I hate it.
It was if you wanted to, you couldn't because there was no opportunity. Even with flying out IBJJF at that time, they didn't even have the schedule like they do now or any other tournament. It was just that one, you know. So it was a good tournament because it brought all the schools together. Oklahoma, like you said, Lovato, everyone, and you know, down South Texas, everyone would come up, and yeah, it was good times back then.
Yeah. And so you opened this school when you're about what year? When did you open this school?
In 2008, I got my black belt in December of 07, and you know, it was one of those things. I was still working at General Motors, and you know, people would talk about, you know, me opening a school. Like, once you open a school, I'm like, didn't think I was ready yet because I didn't really have my stuff in order to go lease a space, right? So one of my friends, he just kept, you know, kind of pushing me to do it. His name is Alfredo, and just one day, man, I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna pull the trigger, man. He's like, man, we'll come learn out of your garage, man. Just open up, just do it, you know. And I'm like, all right. So I went, cleared out the garage, went to Home Depot, bought some cheap carpet pad and those cheap little gray puzzle mats, got duct tape, taped all the seams, had like a message of the week dryer erase board up there, hung up some belts, and I started teaching out of the garage, and that was it, man. And because actually I think it's this month where it's 12 years.
Oh, cool.
Then I've been open. Then I started teaching out of the garage.
Happy business birthday.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Yeah, so yeah, come along a
This
long
is
way.
this is a huge gym. You guys can't see it. You'll see it in the walkthrough. But I mean, just the mat space. You've upgraded. Like I said, I saw at the other warehouse location across the parking lot. But you guys have seriously upgraded. So business is good.
Yeah. Business is good. I mean, obviously, you know, I can't just focus on, you know, my jiu-jitsu. I got to focus on the business aspect of it, you know, and so a lot of attention goes into that because, you know, when you first open, you're all excited, like, oh, I'm getting to train jiu-jitsu all day, and that's the wrong mindset. You know what I mean? You just think you're gonna just train jiu-jitsu.
That's the hobbyist mentality.
That's the hobbyist mentality, and that's completely wrong. And in the beginning, that's where I was at. I didn't have the right, you know, mentors around me to fix that. It's just I hated my job. That was the thing.
What did you do exactly?
I was just on the assembly line, man. I worked at General Motors here. The plant in Saginaw, Michigan wasn't that bad because it was a smaller parts plant. We built steering columns for all the vehicles. But here in Texas, it's full assembly, man. So the work is just, it's no joke, man. People are having like rotator cuff surgery, neck surgery, carpal tunnel, man. Everyone's just having surgery. And I started having really bad problems with my hands because it's just repetitive stuff. You know, things that your body really ain't made to do. And I just hated it. And I was just like, man. And so they offered a buyout. And, you know, once you take the buyout, like, that's it. You cut everything off, all ties with General Motors. So I took that buyout, took the money, split it up, and then that's when I started teaching out of the garage. And then a few months later, I was still working, teaching out of the garage at the same time. And then in June, at the end of June, that's when I finally quit. So I wasn't working anymore, and I went full-time doing that. So I went from the garage to a gymnastics facility, leased out some space. And then that was a problem, though, man. It pushed me to move because every time I would come in, they would move my mats. You know what I'm saying? So one corner would be in that corner this week. Next week, I'd come over like, oh, my mat's over there. They'd move my shelves, my paperwork and stuff. So I was there for about 7 months, and then I finally leased another spot, which was 4,500 square feet. And then I leased the one that you came to, which was 95, and then this one's 15,000.
15,000 square feet.
Yeah.
And I would say, just on a personal level, you're probably the winningest master black belt that I know. I mean, you're pretty accomplished. I was looking at the wall over there, and your dad was like, no, that's just Danielle's wall. And I walked around the corner, and I saw your wall. And I've always known you to be a big competitor. You've won worlds, Nogi Worlds, and did you win
Master
Worlds?
Worlds and Master Nogi Worlds, yeah.
A few times.
So 4-time Nogi at Black Belt Master Worlds, and then I won it the 3rd time in 2017, Master Gi Worlds. Yeah. So three in the gi, and then 4 in the Nogi.
And we could talk for another half hour on all the other things that you've won. Those are being the big titles. Anyway, so before black belt, because that's all black belt, right? And did you go on a competition tear, blue through brown?
Yeah, I felt like as soon as I got my blue belt, I remember going down. Like I like the next weekend, I think I drove to Austin because there was like a Helson Gracie tournament. I think, oh man, I'm drawing a blank. What's his name? Phil Cardella.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he had his school in Austin at the time. Helson Gracie tournament, H-Town, Battle of H-Town, like, I mean, wherever, you know, because they weren't here, so I had to drive, and we would drive and go do those tournaments. So I just wanted to go and just test myself, man. I wanted to go and see, like, where I was at, you know, right away. And I did that with all my belts, at purple, brown, and then black even. Like, as soon as I got my black belt, I went to go compete right away, just to, you know, just to go see where my skill level was at and see, like, I saw the benefits of, like, competing, winning, and losing, like, how it helped me grow. And so I was like, I'm just going to keep doing it. Plus, it's always the battle of, like, battling yourself, of, like, the nerves. I don't know if I can do it. That guy's really good. Look at all the patches on his gi. You know, back then everyone had patches all over their gis and stuff.
Especially
you know
coming from Machado.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
NASCAR.
Yeah, so, you know, there's a lot of intimidation factors, and your mind starts playing tricks on you. And even now, you know, you just, it's just that constant battle of like, you know, can you just overcome yourself? Not so much the opponent, but it's your nerves and your mind telling you that you can't do it, and then showing yourself that you can do it, and then you just get a little stronger and better each time that you do it.
Now, when did you get your black belt after 30?
I was 32.
32. So your competitive black belt is pretty much has been mastered.
Masters, yeah. I fought a couple adult divisions in Brazil, and I did American Nationals in the adult here. But there was just a few. But most of them, are all masters.
And I think if I'm right, are you on the opposite side? I mean, because you win some, are you #1 ranked with?
Well, I was #1 ranked because all the points that I accumulated over in the 2017-2018 season. You know, if you don't keep competing, then your points start to drop.
And other people are competing.
And then they're competing, and their points starts to climb. So I'm slowly dropping. You know, I've had a little transition within the last 6 months in my life, so I haven't been able to get out as much. But that doesn't mean I'm not training and not running and not working out. It's just I haven't been able to get out there.
But what I'm saying, though, what I was getting at was, do you think now, because you were talking about nerves, you were talking about testing yourself at a rank, you're so experienced at black belt now and you've won so much, you have the target on your back. Does that nerve now switch over to
I think it does. I mean, I think in a couple of scenarios, you know, I remember when I fought like Budo Jake, you know, one time I didn't know it was Budo Jake, and Gracie Mag comes out with their, you know, with their cameras and stuff, and then, you know, the other cameras and all this other stuff, and it's like, you know, I'm winning and I'm doing stuff, and then here he comes, and of course he gets all the goodies from all the people he's interviewing and doing stuff with, and I'm like, you know, so yeah, I think in some of those tournaments, I would say like, you know, that's probably the guy to beat, so let's go beat him. And now it's turned the other way. Like now I gotta hold it down. Where before I'm the guy coming up trying to get the guy, and now I'm the guy, and they're trying to get me, and so it's it's definitely switched in some occasions like that.
How'd it go with Budo Jake?
It was good, man. That guy's tough, man. Of course, it's always tough. I fought him at the Vegas Open, and then I fought him at Master Worlds in 2014, and then I fought him in the no-gi at American Nationals. It was good stuff because the day I was fighting him, it was like AJ Agazarm and Eddie Bravo are like coaching him, blah, blah, you know. And he's got me in a guillotine, and I'm like biting down on my tongue, and my tongue's about to come off, man. And I'm like, I'm hearing those guys coach, and I'm like, you know, Gracie Mag and then like, you know, Budo Jake, they're recording the match, you know. And I'm just thinking, man, I can't lose this match. Recording, these guys are talking to me, all this stuff's going through my head. And I get out, and anyways, I win by like advantage or whatever. But he's of course he's tough, man. He's taller. He's got some sneaky little tricks, and
I've been in business with him for a long time.
Oh, okay,
He did both my DVDs. I recently just got sponsored by No-Gi Industries, which he owns. Video videos on that.
Yeah.
I've known him a lot. I've watched the Conor McGregor fights at his house in Laguna Niguel, and I definitely know him very well. It's interesting that I didn't know you fought him.
I was like, man, the bracket came out. I had just fought him at Vegas, and the bracket comes. No, I had fought in Vegas, and then the American Nationals, and then the Master Worlds bracket comes out. We're the first match, and I'm like, come on, man. There's like 20-something people in this division. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just fought this dude three times, like, you know, in the past month, and now I got him again, and like, that's just the way it goes. But anyways, then that's a whole nother, like, you beat someone, and then like it's hard to beat them again. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, there's a lot of different variables of like, you're the underdog, now you're not the underdog. Now you beat someone, and now you got to keep trying to beat them, and they're gunning for you, and it's like, so there's a lot of different ways where you can be put in different positions to where like it can mess with you mentally, and you have to battle those kind of things.
It is interesting mentioning him with Gracie Mag and all that. A lot of people think flow grappling. I think flow grappling is the bomb. Don't get me wrong. I got the app on my TV. I'm watching flow grappling all the time. And everyone's like, thank God for flow grappling, flow grappling, flow grappling. And I'm like, man, I remember when they had invented, Budo Videos made multi-mat technology. At first it was you had to switch from one mat to the other, and then eventually it was IBJJF TV, right? And then they were doing worlds and stuff like that, and then one day it just became Flow Grappling, you know, and switched over. But
yeah, they definitely put it down, man. Yeah.
They were the
Budo
most
Videos
popular.
Was you know, you couldn't wait for them to come out with the new stuff. You know what I'm saying? To share and get, you know, because like I said, man, you had to, you know, you get a Gracie magazine and you flip through and the guy's, you know, it's here. Next minute he's in a choke and you missed the move. Like where's the rest of the move at? You know what I mean? So when Budo Video comes out, and he comes out with all these little, and he traveled. He did the traveling thing, and you get to see it. Yeah, rolled up and get to see all that stuff. It was, yeah. I mean, you appreciate all those things that he put down for.
That's
that,
next
sure.
for this podcast. Yeah. We're doing techniques right now, but it's about to be a version of rolled up too.
Yeah.
It was interesting too because going back to that DVD, I did that DVD in 2008, and I have taught all over the world. I've taught in 21 countries now. I have taught all over the world because of that. Because at that time, Budo Videos was the hot stuff, and right now I feel like BJJ Fanatics is. But I feel like their content is content overload. So like individuals aren't getting super popular. It was Draculino, and then me, and then Hamla Bahal, and then Gokor. Like that was the order of the DVDs at my time. And like it was like,
yeah, it's definitely more spaced out in what content was coming out. Yeah.
It's Japan, it's Germany, it's England. It was crazy at that time, and it was so popular. I don't think I deserved that. I wasn't that high of a competitor. I wasn't, you know, like you guys compete so much. I compete like 3 times a year. And like you said earlier, you got your black belt. Like even when I got my first stripe and second stripe, I signed up for the first tournament. I feel like you should go, even though it's still black belt, you should go test yourself, you know. I've never been one to go do 15 tournaments in a year. I do like 3 or, you know, most I do is 5 or something. But yeah, interesting thing with Budo Videos.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So you open up your gym, and it starts to go successful, and then Danielle's no longer in diapers, right? When did you start training, Danielle?
I trained briefly. He kind of taught me a little bit. I was probably like 8 years old. At the time, I was playing basketball and volleyball, so I was doing other sports. And at the time, there was no women or any girls that I would see on the mat. So I remember going and watching him. I would go to Mr. Wall's gym with him and stuff. I'd be like, that's a bunch of guys rolling around. Like, I don't want any part of it, you know? So I didn't like it at first. I probably tried it for a few months, and I didn't like it. And then fast forward, I was probably my freshman or sophomore year in high school. So I was like 14 going into 15. And I had a little bit of a bully situation, nothing too big, but, you know, girls are mean, which is how it is, you know? So my dad kind of forced me at that time to kind of just, hey, you need to learn some self-defense. Like, this is mandatory now. At least give me 3 days a week. So I probably went Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays. I cried about it a lot. He like loves telling everyone that I used to cry about it, but I didn't like it at first.
Give me the hardest time, dude.
Like I
crying.
said, it was
she was like 14, and she's crying like an 8-year-old. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't think it was fun at first. Like I said, a lot of men, a lot of guys, not very, you know, no girls, no women. So then I probably did that for about a good year, and then fast forward the next year, I think I did my first Naga tournament. So I did like gi match, and I think it was no gi first. I think I lost. Then I fought the same girl later on in the gi, and then I won that fight. Thought it was really fun, you know, the adrenaline and everyone cheering me on, all the students there and stuff like that. And then I think I did maybe another Naga, and then once I just started kind of competing again, or started getting more out there, like I think I did like a teen division at Naga one day, and then I did the adults. I competed like all day. I did really well, so I kind of proved to myself that like I was good at it, you know. And so after that, like I never really looked back since that moment. I started going that year to like Pan Am's with him in California. He took me out there. I did like a juvenile division, went to Worlds, and after that I was hooked. I was like taking pictures with all the black belts. There was, you know, females there, you know, at that time the brown and black belts were combined, and there wasn't very many weight classes, but I was like, man, these girls are amazing. Like those are like, they became my idols way back then. And so I remember like taking pictures with all of them. I thought it was so cool ever since I saw how big it could be, you know, so.
That's interesting. I actually was recently in this conversation, 2-part conversation with someone the other day. I'm already at a point where I have an 8-year-old and 10-year-old. I have a 14-year-old Montana, but my daily kids that live at home with me are Valley and Gavin. They're 8 and 10, my daughter being 10. She's already run into a bully situation. Gavin competes and is phenomenal, and he's competitive. I don't care what that kid does, he's going to be great at it, you know? Valley, and she can be good too, but she resists jiu-jitsu.
Mm.
Like she'll be on fire one week, and then a month she hates it, you know. And I'm like, consistency, like obviously is the key. Like you're not gonna suck if you just do it a couple times a week. You know what I mean? You'll get the consistency. And so I was talking about how most black belts, our kids are really good, right? But then also, at what age? Because we believe so much in jiu-jitsu. And, you know, whether some guys fight MMA, whatever, but like we believe in the martial art that we're doing in self-defense, most of us end up forcing our kids to do jiu-jitsu. And it's not out of, I want you to go win gold medals like me. It's literally like the self-defense aspect
It's a martial
is
art.
like
It's
way
not
higher.
It's not a sport. And I would get in debates with people all the time. And actually my family gave me a really hard time because I made her do it. That's your thing. You can't make her do your thing. That's not right. Mom, dad, wife, like everyone. And I'm like, you know what? I don't care. Like I should be comfortable and know that she can take care of herself. Knowing what we know, our kids should not know how to take care of themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like,
guilt.
doesn't make any
The
sense.
guilt if something happened to them. And,
that
and we
doesn't,
didn't
you know,
teach.
so I say, you know what? That's it. Like, you're going to do it. I don't care if you cry, do whatever. I don't care who gets mad at me. You should be able to know how to take care of yourself.
When do you think that we should force that? Is the question. That was what I
Well,
was
that's like, I made that mistake and I listened at 8 years old when I tried to make her do it. And she didn't want to do it. I listened to my parents and everyone else get in my ear, and that was a big mistake because now there's a 6-year gap from 8 to 14. She did other things, and when that thing happened, like she said with the bully situation, I was hot because I was like, well, man, I know the things that I know, and you should know them too, and you should never look down because someone's talking loud and trying to just punk you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should be able to take care of yourself at any time because you have the power to do that. And because I didn't show you that and make you do it, and I listened to everyone else, now you don't have that power. Now you walk through the hallways with your head down. That makes no sense. So I regret that. And my advice would be to anyone, like if you're, make them do it, because it's not basketball, it's not any other volleyball sport. It's a martial art that obviously, because we do it, you know so many things that you can learn from it. But at the end of the day, man, someone comes to pick on you, man, you can defend yourself. You can't do that with basketball and baseball and volleyball. You can't. But with this, you can. And you should have everyone.
And it's free.
It's free.
We don't even have to pay someone else to teach our kids jiu-jitsu.
You should have that power. Everyone should have that power. I think there'd be less bullies in the world, man, because more people are like, well, I better not mess with, because they all know this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So.
That's a big thing that I feel like was a difference between me being a California guy and coming over here. Even with the cops, like back to blue, all that good stuff. I believe in police officers. People who like hate cops, I get that. There's horrible incidences, but like if all those people that were psychos in jail were outside, people would definitely want a lot more cops in their life. You know what I mean? But LAPD, I know some and I've seen some. Most LAPD got cauliflower ear, bro. They know how to throw hands. They know jujitsu. Like but it's because that culture's there, obviously, you know. But like growing up, I was more worried that I would get my ass handed to me by a cop. When I move out here, I'm worried like a cop isn't trained and I'm gonna get shot. Like, not to say that happens with everyone, but I'm just saying the lack of training makes them pull a pistol.
The lack of training and the panic and the your natural instinct is to like or beat someone up when you don't really have to beat them up, when you can just do this stuff, you know.
Well, yeah, jiu-jitsu is superior to somebody who doesn't know anything. When they don't know jiu-jitsu, the pistol is superior. Yeah. You know, and so that's what freaks me out.
Or they're beating the hell out of someone because they don't know what else to do, so they just result to their natural instinct, which is to punch someone.
Injury incurred to an officer in an altercation is a broken hand. Right?
So.
And I mean, the other day I promoted a guy named Buddy Briscoe. He's a Fort Worth PD guy to blue belt. I'm ecstatic because I'm like, we got another cop that's on his way. You know what I mean? And me being ex-Army and I invaded Iraq. You know, I was that time frame, and so like I cuffed a lot of people at that time frame, and like I think I knew jiu-jitsu at that time, but military and police officers being in the same quote unquote genre, you know what I mean, when it comes to the combatives aspect, I really, really, really believe in the cops knowing.
Yeah, like I said, I think everyone should, man. Like, you know, all the kids, like our kids, you know, that the question is when do you when is it wrong to make them? It's not wrong to make them, man. I feel like every person, every parent out there that sees this should make their kids do jiu-jitsu, man. They're at work, doing their work, and then you're in the office or wherever wondering, is your kid going to be okay today? You shouldn't have to do that, man.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? You
point.
should be like, you know what? My kid's going to be all right because they train jiu-jitsu, they do Muay Thai, they do this and that, and if they have to, it's going to be a bad day for the Willie, because as many people I talk to, the school district doesn't do anything. They don't help these kids, man. They do defend themselves, they get kicked out. Well, man, I'd rather my kid get kicked out for handling their business and protecting themselves than getting beat up, and now they're scared.
Another misconception is that we have to break everyone's arms and choke them unconscious. Mostly what I teach a lot of, especially the little ones, is when they get some out, so just hold the wrist.
Just hold the wrist, man,
like,
until someone
out.
comes and...
You know, I don't even want them choking them because they're so freaked out that, and the other kid doesn't know how to tap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, hold the seatbelt on the back or just hold them out. And so at a certain point, though, did you force Danielle to compete?
No, I had asked her to compete because I had wanted her to try it. And when she was talking about the one tournament where she did gi, no gi, then the gi, I was like, oh, like that's it. You know what I mean? Because then inside, you know, I'm a competitor. I'm like, I did want her to compete. But I had told her in the beginning she didn't have to. But inside, I was like, maybe that's going to be it. And I
want you to this tournament, but you don't have to. No pressure.
I remember saying she was grounded for something that she did at that point. And I said, look, if you compete again, I'll let you off your grounding. She was like...
Had like a long sentence.
She had a long sentence grounding. She had a couple-month grounding.
Oh, wow.
And she was like, I'm staying grounded. I was like... And I was looking at her mom, and I'm like, dude, are you serious? Like, really? I'm like, I'll let you off like today, right now. You can just do next weekend's tournament. She was like, I'm staying grounded. And I was like...
Wow.
Okay, that's how bad, you know
she
what I'm
got
saying?
comfortable.
Yeah, so I was like, wow, man. I was like, I thought that was it. And then, like she said, about a year later, one day, she tried it on her own, and then it clicked, and she was like, after that was it. Then we're off to running, and that's when we just took off and started doing everything because she's asking for it now. She wanted to do it, but in the beginning, I was more than comfortable just to see your kid on the mat training, just to knowing that you're seeing them do the escapes, you're seeing them do the arm bars, you're seeing them roll up boys, you know what I'm saying, tapping out boys. I'm like, yeah, she's gonna be okay now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, having a daughter, your mind, you know, trips out. You know, having a boy, you're like, okay, yeah, they'll probably be all right. They should learn jiu-jitsu too, but a girl even more so. I just feel like she should know that. And I made that mistake of letting everyone in my ear, and I should have never did that. I regret that decision. I should have forced her when she was 8 years old.
It turned all right.
Yeah, it turned out all right.
Don't be so hard on yourself.
Well, the thing
I
is,
wish I would have started when I was younger. I remember kind of going, we used to go to California like on little family trips, and I remember like he would go to like Eddie Bravo's. I remember those times I'd be sleeping in a little waiting area, just, you know, me and my mom waiting for him, and I was like, man, I wish I could go back and put myself on the mat back then instead of just sleeping in the waiting room.
Was that Hollywood?
Yeah.
Was that Bomb Squad or Legends? Probably Bomb Squad
you
or
walk
Legends.
You walk out, and then the main strip was right there. But it was like, yeah, I did like a...
Was there a bunch of workout equipment with pads blocking it? Was it ghetto-fied like that? Or was it a Muay Thai gym mainly? Or was
No. It was a jiu-jitsu
red
gym.
and black mats?
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, that was Legends gym. The open with Boston and Randy Couture. I was a student there.
Okay, yeah. I remember doing like a 30-minute round with him or something like that. It was pretty cool. Because I was a big fan. Yeah, still am. You know, like his work and stuff like that. And we travel, and where the goal is like wherever we travel, we look for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
you know
for
what I'm saying? And at that point, she wasn't doing it. And then as she got older, started doing it. Now everything that we pinpoint to go has to be jiu-jitsu based, pretty much. You know.
Does the missus train?
No, she won't even try it. She just refuses, and it's like, that ain't for me. Like, I don't want nothing to do with that. Like, everyone asks her, everyone here trains, you know, they'll mess with her up front, you know, she'll work her, she'll just be here, and no, she want nothing to do with it, man. She want nothing to do with it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's funny.
At this level of competition and the size of the school and all that kind of stuff, most people where you're at, the wife ends up training at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so I noticed you're in it. Is it Diana? Deanna? What's her name?
Sophia.
My bad. I thought you guys all had the D thing going on. Sophia, so she never joined it, and that's interesting. But she doesn't give you too much hassle searching for jiu-jitsu places everywhere you go,
Well,
or you
no,
get some
because
flack.
I think she in the beginning, and she hates when I tell the story, but in the beginning she hated it, man. Like she absolutely hated it. She gave me a hard time with going to practice, going to tournaments. Like she would argue with me on purpose, just to hope that maybe I would say, okay, forget it, let's turn back around. Because I remember going to Winter Wars one time, like going to fight, and she like started a fight with me in the car just because she knows she was gonna be there all day. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I was like, I'm still gonna compete. You know. So, but then now we go to Rome, we go to Paris, we go here, we go there. So she's like, well,
Now
yeah,
she's purposely looking for the places that have
dude,
jiu-jitsu.
she's telling us what's on the schedule
Yeah.
ahead of time. Like, oh, hey, look,
Hey, I saw
look
they
at,
have jiu-jitsu here.
look at where we can go. Look where y'all can go compete.
She's dangling
yeah,
the bait in front of you now.
yeah. I haven't even looked at the schedule yet, and she's on
IBJJF more than we are.
She's got like too much time on her hands, and she'll be at work and her phones will go off, and like new tournament popped up in a new country or new city. Let's go there, you know. But before it was not like that. It was not like that. So.
Do you guys? I mean, that's a lot because I go to Europe outside of the summer almost monthly to teach or run tournaments, and so I know it's costly to go over there. Do you guys like set aside money all the time for every month from your students? I mean, not to try and invade in your finances, but
no, it's just you know, in the beginning, the goal was to just put ourselves out there. Like I wanted to just be, you know, that was just always been my thing. Like I quit my job. Like I left everything. I left home. I left Saginaw. I left General Motors, and I was like, if I'm gonna do this, then I'm just gonna do it the best way. I'm gonna give everything to it. And so I didn't want to just train all the time. I wanted to go and see, can I put myself out there and build accomplishments to the point where where we can go win these titles and be recognized, like, yeah, as one of the best to do it. And so when we looked at the schedule and we look at whatever, because we've been to Tokyo 3 times, we've been to Abu Dhabi, we've been to Portugal, I don't know how many times, but Paris, Rome, all over the place, and none of that even really mattered. It was just like, that's the tournament, we want that title, we're just gonna go and get it. And we just figured it out and just made it happen. And that's really was just, there really was no budget or no anything. It was just like, no, we're going to these tournaments, man, because we want it. You know, I wanted to prove that, you know, I was one of the best out there. Because, you know, once you get those titles, no one can take them from you. You could lose the next tournament the next day. It doesn't matter. You won that day, you won that title.
Yeah.
And that belongs to me. They're on my wall. They're on her wall. That's it. I mean, you know what
your
I'm saying?
wall's pretty extensive over there too. You ended up winning worlds at Brown Belt, which is very impressive, right? I don't have everything memorized about you guys, but you punched your ticket to Abu Dhabi a couple times too, didn't you?
Yeah, I think twice. Yeah.
Purple and brown, is that right? Blue and purple.
Blue and purple, yep.
And how do they work that then? So they give you the flight, hotel, everything?
Yeah, everything.
That's pretty
for
awesome.
me, like all the food and everything, so I don't have to really spend anything except for him. He like paid.
Yeah,
for
I
his
had
own
to
stuff.
buy my own ticket, sneak into the room,
Yeah.
and get all the food. But man, they treat you like freaking kings over there, man. It's
Yeah,
like
it's really fun.
it's a massive hotel, and they just really take good care of you, you know. But she definitely, obviously, had to earn that one, especially the one at Purple Belt, because she had to fight Cyborg student twice in the weight class.
Actually, two of his students.
Two of his students, yeah.
Teammates.
And then in the absolute, you know, he's there coaching them, both divisions, and then she pulled it off, man. And then
So you won Abu Dhabi Pro too.
No, I didn't win. I just won the trial to get there, and then I had a big bracket. I won a few matches at Purple Belt, like maybe 2 or 3, and then I ended up losing the next one. So those tournaments are fun though.
How do you guys? So you guys chase those titles. How do you compare Abu Dhabi Pro to IBJJF?
Oh man, I think it's top level, man. The way they take care of you, the way they run it, the way it looks.
I'm talking title.
Title? Oh, I think it's a big title, man. I mean, it's not a world title, but it's definitely, I would have to put it up there, man, because it's you know, the thing about that tournament is like it takes a lot from a lot of the people in Europe or Asia to like come all the way to California for the Worlds, right? But when you go to Abu Dhabi, man, you just see more countries competing because it's closer for whatever. You know, I don't know. It just seemed like there was a lot more countries being represented in Abu Dhabi at that tournament.
Well, they fly it.
Yeah.
Abu Dhabi doesn't fly it. It's just an open registration.
Right, and I just thought it was really, really, it was really cool. I think an Abu Dhabi Pro title is definitely one to have for sure.
Have you guys heard of what we do with the AGF Nogi Pro Division?
Mm-mm.
So for the last couple of years, we've been flying people back and forth from Europe and the United States.
Oh,
My
okay.
ultimate goal was with Seth Daniels with Fight to Win Pro. Our first year, a lot of people don't realize not our first year, Seth's first year of Fight to Win Pro. We had the tournament during the day, and his tournament was at night or the next night. So we, long story short, we kind of like split the facility. You know what I'm saying? Now, eventually, Seth got real successful, but his marketing style is different than a tournament style. So he started bouncing cities real hard, and we couldn't keep up with him. That way, we're like, hey, we need to grow like this. He can just go. He can go Philly, LA, New York.
Right.
So,
Weekend after weekend.
yeah, and so anyhow, so Seth's a great guy. I love him. Well, but my vision for what the pro division is for AGF was to have kind of like ADCC or Abu Dhabi Pro. You have trials. You have European, Brazilian, American East and West, possibly even a Midwest, Australia, and Asia. Okay, those guys now are flown to our World Championships, and it ends up becoming an 8-man bracket. Those people are all rash guarded out I'm from Brazil, I'm from Europe, blah, blah,
okay.
and they compete against each other, and that would be our World Championships. At the black belt level now, like with IBJJF and whatnot, you have to qualify with points and that kind of stuff, so I like that a lot better. I always hated the open registration of
Yeah, it makes you work.
ranks.
It makes you work for it. Yeah, you got to put yourself out there, and you got to go and
It takes some of the
that.
riffraff out of the
Yeah.
main divisions, but it's also a smart business tactic because it puts money into their own business over and over again throughout the year. But I also, with Nogi, you know how Nogi goes, there is people who aren't BJJ guys that can hang. There's guys who are purple and brown belts that can tap black belts, and so like with the Nogi, I wasn't so much concerned with the rank, they just had to be at least a pro level. And so that was my ultimate goal. And then Bruno from Soul Fighters was my business partner for Brazil. So we were going to Brazil. We're trying to go to Tijuca where Worlds used to be.
Right on.
Right? We may go to a different building, whatnot. It's been many years, but that didn't pan out. That was supposed to be last fall. Now it's gonna be this summer instead. And we're getting over to Australia. We've been in Europe for years now, and so it's going there. And so that's still the goal, to fly everyone in and do that. But even like right now at our nationals, we fly the winners. So you have female, male, and we have above and below 175, above and below 150 for girls, but we changed that to 35. There just wasn't that many girls over 150. That I know that there is, but there just wasn't that were competing in all the tournaments throughout the year. And so yeah, we have actually the girl who won her weight class from Dallas is from Magnus. And over locally, and so they're getting flown to Amsterdam to our European Championships.
That's cool.
We didn't want to
That's good stuff.
do our European Championships in Lisbon because of the IBJF has theirs and that kind of stuff. We don't want to copycat. We want to carve our own path, Plus, I like Amsterdam.
Yeah.
And like when I ask people in America, I'm like, you got Berlin, Brussels, Amsterdam, Frankfurt, Lisbon, Rome, like where do you want to go? And they're like, Amsterdam sounds dope. There's so many different reasons that people want to go to Amsterdam, and there's usually so they fit in some category, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's a really cool city, canals. I've stayed on an Airbnb in a canal boat and stuff like that. It's a really cool city. So that's our main spot for the Euros. And so they're getting flown over there. And then we have our European champions from there get flown to our nationals. We did that in the space that we had to take from being able to Brazil. I don't want to have the quote unquote world championships or those finals of the Nogi Pro. I didn't want to do that until we had been to Brazil and we'd been to Australia. I didn't want to call it a world championships or anything like that without
it being
worldwide.
Yeah, worldwide, yeah.
And so we're doing that. And then the next obviously is black belts. We made duo brown black similar to Abu Dhabi, but black's the goal. And so that's what's coming next for us. But yeah, so it'll perk your ears to some of that. So the flights paid for, all that stuff, hotels paid for.
Okay. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, and you have to win one of the, so we call them Challenger Series instead of instead of absolute.
Okay.
Because we split the absolute. So some people got, wow, it's not a true absolute, and they get picky over the word.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, not just opinion now it's a fact. Not as many light dudes sign up for the absolute, you know, and then other organizations, they'll even have the absolute before the weight class. So I'm gonna have this 145-pound guy go against Buchecha and get crushed in half, and then not win his title
Not
the
even
next
fight
day
his
at
own
weight
dude,
class.
get hurt. Yeah, and that's the thing, man. Because at the end of the day, man, people love to compete. They want to win,
But
but they also want to train the next day, on Monday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They want to train the next week. You know, you don't want to get crushed, like you said, man, and take it. You know, the opportunity to get hurt, man. 'Cause there's some big dudes, man.
Yeah.
You know, some big guys. You know, so to split them up is
yeah,
pretty cool.
above and below 175. You know, now we got the 25 or 35 or 45. Those guys are all joining in into the under 175. There's more people in our absolute. It's more competitive. We have more numbers in there. But we also don't restrict you. So if you really want to be 130 and enter into the heavy absolute, go ahead. You know what I mean? And so it's like, you can't get mad at me for forcing you into that little box. You can still go into the bigger one. But yeah, that's what we're doing. So you have female 2 weight classes, male 2 weight classes, and then we fly them back and forth and stuff like that. And it was interesting too because I get to play host to some of it. Like we had a kid named Omari Gitterman. He's from I think I said that right. His last name's hard to pronounce. He's from Belgium on the French side, so they speak French at their school.
Okay.
And he's a killer, man. Sponsored, he wins everything. He's been on the podium at Euros and Abu Dhabi Pro, all that kind of stuff. And he came to Tulsa. He stayed at my house, trained for a week in Dallas, and then we went up to Tulsa for nationals. And it's just an experience. Tulsa's not that cool of a vacation city, you know, but some of those, especially their first time, people are there to win, so they're not out partying. They're not.
They're focused. Yeah.
You know, and so I tell people, take a few days after, because after you're done cutting weight, you're done competing, everything's done, you can go enjoy yourself. You know, I don't recommend coming so far before.
It's a mistake, man. It's a mistake. I got students that do that. You know,
But
they
they
go
get it.
sightseeing, you know, and then you're on your feet all day, and you're not even focused on the tournament. You know,
Yeah,
do it after,
exactly,
do it after.
exactly, on your feet all day.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really cool showing people the level of jiu-jitsu, how we run it. You know, like in Europe, the kids programs are just, there's hardly any competitor. Like if I had like 440 in Berlin, and there was maybe 40 kids. You know what I mean? Like the kids program is so much smaller. The business format of how they run their gyms and stuff like that in Europe is a lot different. They have a lot of sport halls. Some people pay 100 euros and it's 6 months worth of, you know, like it's just run completely differently. And the entrepreneurship here is totally different. And so until that changes, I don't know if it'll, you know, you do have great ones, you know, Adam Wardinsky and people like that, you know, that are coming out of Europe. And I think there's a big difference in European jiu-jitsu compared to American jiu-jitsu. So it's really cool to have Americans go get exposed to that and Europeans come get exposed to us.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of going over there. I mean, that's what she just went to the European. That's why we go. That's why we go over there, because you're not going to really see those individuals come over to the States because they can't for whatever reason. Maybe it's financial, visas, whatever. So to go over there, you're like, there's no footage on this guy or whatever. You're like, but, you know, it's a black belt. It's got to be tough, you know.
Yeah.
And it just gives you a different look, a different feels, the unknown factor. You know what I mean? Like normally, you know, you got, oh, I mean, look at all the video on this guy, or you know his game because you see him compete all the time. You go over there, and you don't know what you're up against, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's a surprise, and it makes it's another thing what we were talking about earlier, how it makes things harder for you. You know, so you go there, and it's, you know, and then if you're a competitor, you got to get acclimated to their country, their food, their this, their that, the time, everything. That's a whole nother monster, man. To just get used to as a competitor.
Tiny little beds.
Yeah.
Where's my king size bed?
Where's the fans, man?
Yeah.
You know, I went to Geneva and they like, we don't have AC. Open your window. And I'm like, okay, but it's hot still. And they're like, well, we can bring a fan up for you. Like, they give me this little fan and like, they just don't use AC.
Bougie American.
Yeah, man, exactly, man. I'm like, man, I'm hot, I'm sweating, and I'm like, man, this is horrible. I'm like, you know, you're restless the whole night, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're tired, you know, how am I going to compete the next day, you know? You're like, I didn't sleep well. I'm used to my things, my certain way, my certain foods. But the challenge and why we do it is because it's like, okay, you got to battle through all that stuff, and then now you gotta go fight this person that lives here, and they're probably in their little bed doing their thing. They're used to that, getting a good night's sleep, you know, their time zone and everything, and now you gotta go and compete and fight against that. Man.
That's the hard part.
It's hard, man.
Overseas is the time zone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough.
I took a few of my guys and my head refs a few times for the first our first one in Europe when we did in Belgium, and Chris Westfall, the Luder black belt, is our head ref, and you know, he went over there. He wanted to compete. Levi and a few of my other guys. We took a like Christmas bonus for our crew that had worked for us for a long time. And man, they were blue in the lips already, like 3 minutes into the match. I was like, oh, that time zone's kicking your ass, dude. You know, it's that sleep, you know, and sometimes, you know, flights can be, the total travel time can be 15 hours, but sometimes it's 18 or 20 or something like that, you know.
Layover, everything, man. You know, just any little thing. It's just so many things, man, can just really, as a competitor, just ruin so many things, man. I remember at the Masters International in Madrid, I'm in the bullpen, I'm getting ready to fight, and I'm falling asleep. And I'm like, got the music on, I'm already warmed up, that they're prolonged, you know, the division didn't start when it's supposed to. And I'm like, man, what is wrong with me, man? Like, I'm getting ready to go fight. I'm in Madrid. I flew all the way over here, you know, or was it Barcelona? Barcelona. And I'm like, you know, I should be hyped by now, man. I should be like fired up, ready to go. And I was trying, man. And just nothing was working, man. It didn't matter what music I put on or whatever. And, you know, I go out there and I'm just like flat in the first round and get my butt kicked, man. I mean, luckily I pulled it off within like seconds left. I got the takedown in the win. But I mean, that shouldn't be that way. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's so many different things. I didn't sleep well. You know, it's just, you know, I'm used to my egg whites and oatmeal and stuff, man. You know, they don't have that kind of stuff, man.
Masters division sleep, you know, is very important.
So I'm like, man, it was just time, everything. But that's why you do it. You go there because you're like, it's the unknown. You don't know what to expect, and you have to battle through all those different things that are thrown your way. And then can you still come out on top on the other end of that? So
what goes through your head, Daniel, when you're about to compete? Do you handle your nerves differently than your dad? You guys like certain music, or?
I get nervous a little bit leading up to the tournament. Once I'm there, I get pretty excited. Like, especially if it's somewhere that I've been before. Like, I just went to Lisbon last weekend for the Europeans, so that's, you know, pretty fun to be there again. Like, I have a lot of memories from
so you just got back?
Yeah, I got back on Friday night, so I did that. So I felt a little nervous. He didn't come with me. My first time like competing without my coach and my dad overseas like that. So I've done a few tournaments without him, but this one felt different. It's kind of, you know, one of the biggest tournaments. Everyone's, all the media's, you know, there in Portugal and
How'd
stuff.
You do?
So I got second place. So not obviously the results that I wanted, but good learning experience and taking a lot with me for the
Who took first in your division? Who won? Who beat you?
Her name's Tamara Silva from Brazil. She's a Brazilian girl.
Cerro Costa, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
so.
okay.
Yeah, she won her first match 16-2, and then she lost in the final. So.
Yeah, and like I said, like he was talking about the whole adjustments of leading up to competing is hard over in Europe. Like I fought, I think 8 p.m. I landed on Friday at noon, fought 8 p.m. on Saturday, which is weird. Like I was like the last fight of the entire day. Yeah. Right after my match, everyone was closing up. So it was like I waited all day long to fight my first fight, and then I had to go get some food, recharge, and get some rest for the next fight on Sunday. So it was a big process. You know, it's a lot, kind of exhausting mentally, but it's what I've trained for, what I like to do. So
yeah, and now you're doing it without that, and she's trained, so you can trust her to go to Lisbon by herself.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, you know. Yeah, that exactly it. Like, you know, she should be able to take care of herself on many different levels. Whether it's, you know, when they land there, you know, you've seen the movie Taken or whatever else. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
Something like
it's not
that.
But Danielle.
Yeah, but you know, or the, you know, the tournament factor. You know, it's like you build those experiences and you go through those things, and you have to go through them because not always going to be there all the time. As much as I wanted to, I just couldn't make it to this one, and so you got to go through those. You know, I got to travel without a coach, without her, without anyone recording.
Did you go with anyone, or were you completely solo?
I went by myself. I have some friends that, like, you know, sometimes I'll go to San Diego and train with some of the girls there. So I stayed by myself and did the whole process on myself. But I had some friends I can kind of talk to and lean on and be in my corner. But pretty much I felt like I was by myself. You know, I don't have my support system I'm usually used to,
man.
you know.
It's lonely. You can only have so many conversations with yourself.
Yeah, it's hard.
See what I'm saying? I mean, you know, you're talking to yourself a lot the whole time.
And I like to be real focused before I compete. So the girls, they offered me, like, hey, we have an Airbnb, but there was like 8 girls, you know, a lot of people fight Thursday. I don't fight till Sunday, like partying. You know, they're already done eating. You know, whatever they want, and so I chose to stay by myself, and I was like, I need to be focused and have my zone. You know, so it's hard. You know, kind of just.
I've traveled so much. I think it was in May. I went to Berlin. It was my 100th international flight, all for jiu-jitsu. And I have taken a couple people. I took Evan Cutts one time to Europe. I took, like I said, that trip where I took Chris Westfall on that trip. I've taken my fiance a few times. So I'd say like 90 of them I've been by myself, you know, and then eventually when I go teach or even do, you know, with the tournaments or, you know, there's days in between, it's like everyone's at work. There's no day classes in Europe. You know, I mean, rarely, like a couple gyms in all of Germany, like one gym that I know of in all of Belgium. You know, I don't know if they do have day classes at all in the Netherlands. So like I'm by myself. And if you want to go sightsee,
You just do it by yourself.
yeah, it's like, dude, this sucks. Will somebody please come with me? I remember when I invited Evan, he fought his fight. I told him, this is how much it is, blah, blah. He literally came up to me after my fight. He's like, take my money for the flight so I won't spend it. Like, take it and buy the flight for me. And so I like going with people a lot more now. I try and invite people and go. It's a different mindset with you. Obviously, you're going there to compete, so you're trying to stay a lot more focused. It's interesting. I told it lonely is the word. Yeah, you can be lonely. And being so tall, I'm pushing 6'4" here, and it is impossible for me to sleep on a plane.
Yeah.
So like sometimes my knees even hit the next one, so I'm sitting like this. You know, and it ain't worth it to fly. And if someone else is paying for my flight, I don't get business or first class. You know, and so I'm walking. I even do squats and push-ups in the back. You know,
your arms fall asleep because man, your
neck
elbows.
hurts.
Dude, it's a trip, man.
I prefer to just stay up now. I just watch 3 movies and go in the back and talk to the stewardess for a little bit, and then come back to my seat, watch another movie. You know, and then I'm good. So, questions about the gym. So this has always been known as you have a freaking army when you show up to a tournament. I know you've been very successful in tournaments with kids, with adults, and you've been a coach that I can see that rallies the school up to go somewhere. You've created great people. I know several of your students and brown belts and black belts, and the school is grown very big. And if I'm correct, you don't have an MMA program, right? It's just jiu-jitsu.
Just jiu-jitsu.
You have a wrestling club here? No, just jiu-jitsu. So it's definitely the biggest, most successful one I know of in DFW, especially being pure jiu-jitsu. Other people, you add in their fitness, kickboxing, and all that kind of stuff. They throw in their extra memberships. So what do you think is your success here? I mean, I know you got your 30-day free. I know you do that. What is your key to success over here with memberships?
Man, I think it's just it's the mindset that I have, which I know for sure the mindset does push certain individuals away. But if you want to lose weight, man, you want your kids to deal with bullying, you want to get in shape, you want to be a competitor, man, I'm just the mindset that I have here. It's work ethic in here. Like, people know, like, yeah, man, these guys don't play around when it comes to the training aspect of the class. We get to work. And so I'll get the ex-athletes, college athletes, whatever athletes, guys that they're competitive, they want to do that. But for the average guy, it can still work for them, but they still have to put in the work when they come here. If not, they're just like super lazy and don't really want to be pushed or held accountable, then they'll leave. But there's a lot of people out there that want success and they want to do better, but you got to have an atmosphere to build that, to give them that, you know what I'm saying? Because think about it, if you go to, any gym, Lifetime, whatever, you can be self-motivated, but if everyone's kind of doing their own thing and they're not really focused and they're taking selfies and they're just, Instagram, they're really there just to kind of talk and hang out, you can get minimal success, man. But if you're with someone that's going to hold you accountable and push you, the only way to go is up. And so I just feel like throughout all the years, it's just the way I'm built, that's just the way I am. And again, I know it will push some people away, but for the most part, it attracts a lot of people because this is that place, man, where it's going to help you with whatever goal you have. It's going to help you with that because of the mindset that we have here. And it really just comes down to, I just want work ethic from every single person that walks in. And when I feel like students are getting lazy, and they're kind of talking too much or playing around. Like I just, even with the kids classes, you know, I want the kids to come in, have fun, socialize, make new friends. But when it's time to work, man, it's time to work, you know. And so I just feel like that formula, that mindset, it's just worked for me. You know what I'm saying? It's just.
No, I mean, working hard like during training. Does that mean that you? I mean, how does that translate to what you're doing on the mat? Does that mean you're doing a lot of rounds? Does that mean
well, we do.
You're strict on your discipline?
We do. Yeah, and I think a lot of it, you know, my students know, they see me run. You know, they know I run, I work out, I eat right. You know, I'm big on the health and nutrition part. It's not just I just train. I don't just train jiu-jitsu. I train two jiu-jitsu sessions a day, one in the morning, one at night. But I also worked out this morning. So tomorrow's run day plus 2 jiu-jitsu sessions. You know, so. You know, I'm 44, going on 45, man. So I'm older than the majority of my student base. There's a few guys, of course, that are older than me. So when I see young guys complaining or people complaining about stuff, they can't give me that excuse that way out, because I'm older than most of them, you know, and I'm doing way more than them. You know, I'm putting my body through way more than them. But, you know, I would just say that it's not really like I'm killing them or anything like that. I just think the expectations of what I want from my students, I think I make it very clear. And when it comes to like you said, bringing an Army to a tournament, I just think over the years, it's kind of just people come in and tell me, oh, well, I don't want to compete. Cool, you don't have to compete. Let's just get better at whatever it is that you're trying to get better at. Let's lose some weight. Whatever goals you got, let's get to them. And then over time, they start seeing other students bringing home gold medals, doing this, doing that, and it's like, hey, coach, you know, you think I can do the next tournament? I'm like, man, if you're asking me for it, then you're ready. Then let's do it. The only way to know is let's go do it. You know what I'm saying? We'll show you how the point system works. We'll show you this, depending on what tournament it is, and then, you know, we'll get you ready. But the thing is the majority of the way we train, you're ready all the time, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? So it's not really like we don't even have like a competition class. It's just every day the way we train. I just feel like my students on any given weekend can go do a tournament and be ready. If they did the other part, like if they were running like they're supposed to and working out and they're eating right, and if they're training and showing up, they can go do very, very well at a tournament.
I've only got one problem with this. I do jiu-jitsu so I don't have to run.
Everybody says this about him. He's the only person I met that likes to run this much.
I wrestled in high school, so a lot of that comes from that. I've been running since wrestling in high school. It introduced me to that, and I'm like, okay, well, wrestlers run, boxers run, our military makes them run in boot camp.
Baseball
like,
pitchers
run. Like for one, I do enjoy it. It's not like I hate it. It's not my favorite. Obviously, jiu-jitsu is more of my favorite thing to do, but I love the conditioning aspect, knowing that I am probably more conditioned than the majority of people out there, because they don't run. They just train jiu-jitsu. And some people say, "Oh man, that it doesn't work." I call BS on that, because there's a lot of people I roll with where they don't run, and 3rd and 4th round they're fading on me. 5th round, 6th round they're fading on me, and I'm going still. So it's not. And these guys are younger than me. So I don't have any special genetics or anything like that. I just feel like I'm conditioned.
I've got a horrible meniscus, like not there type meniscus. Do you get students like that have had prior injury? You make them do the elliptical, or what? I mean,
no, I would tell them just in that case. You know, I always tell. I got so many students with like herniated disc, and they got this, they got that, and they got whatever, and I'm like, just do what you can do. Like, I don't want anyone to do something that they can't do that's going to make an injury worse or make something hurt or something like that. But if they're not hurt and they can do it, then I expect them to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because I've had students like try to do what I'm doing or do what she's doing competition-wise, but they're just training. Danielle runs, she works out, she eats very healthy. You know what I mean? She's adding those extra elements. And I feel like that just gives us the edge to when it does come competition. Because if you're not eating right, you're not running, you're not working out, and you're just training jiu-jitsu, I feel like we're going to get you. I just feel that confident. Like, unless you're like a specimen, like Mikey Musumeci, and you just got like, you know, you're just a freak jiu-jitsu person, man. You know, a Jeff Glover, you know, I don't know, man. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to do all that. You can just walk on the mat and just tap every single person. That ain't me. Like, I mean, I would say she has a better gift for jiu-jitsu than I do. I feel like she gets it faster than I do. I feel like she's just better at jiu-jitsu than I am. You know what I'm saying? But what I feel like what I have is that extra mindset and that work ethic. Like, I'm gonna go do these other things because I'm lacking the other special stuff that you might have. So I'm gonna beat you with the stuff that you're not willing to go and do, because I know you don't like running, you don't like lifting weights, and you don't like eating your greens. So I'm gonna eat all that and do all that, and I'm gonna come and beat you eventually. That's just the way my mindset.
I feel horrible now.
Yeah.
I do. I have actually lost 30 pounds in summer,
Oh,
and
that's good. Congrats.
I cut alcohol completely out of my life. That was probably the main thing. I got too into traveling with AGF and going to these cool cities and that kind of stuff, and not a 100% competitor mindset, you know. And then I just had to have a lifestyle change. I haven't lifted in 10 years. Like I was telling Danielle before we started this, I was 252 when I moved to Texas, but not fat. I was yoked up. I was big. But and then I started teaching full time. I was also in the real estate industry then, and it's like jiu-jitsu was part time, and then real estate industry then, and so I was lifting a lot, and I was lifting with power lifters. A guy named Scott Mendelson. He's literally the world's strongest bench presser in the world. Right? He did a 1170 single rep and 930 double rep, if I'm correct on those numbers. And so that was that gym that I was working at, and they had jiu-jitsu mats and a ring and all that, so I used to teach private lessons and stuff like that there, and lift. I was lifting in the Army, but then when I started teaching full-time kickboxing and jiu-jitsu, at that time there was also Krav Maga at my school. It was so much jiu-jitsu and kickboxing and stuff that I was just exhausted, and I was like, man, I put weights to the side, and then it became a habit, and I just did that. And then life goes on, and I started not teaching as much, and then doing AGF full time, and I was like, all right, dude, I need to go back to the gym, you know. And I feel great. I feel like lifting weights does help. I know that we can talk about training 6 sessions jiu-jitsu a day. Being about to be 38 in a few weeks, I can't do 6 sessions a day, you know. Plus they're spread out. That'd be 6 a.m., 9:30, 11:30, 6 p.m., stuff like that, you know. You hear about some of these cats in Brazil training so many classes. I don't know if they just have 1 million classes a day, or, you know, I've been to Brazil, but I haven't trained that often in Brazil.
But I don't. Yeah, those guys don't have those kind of responsibilities either, though.
Yeah,
they live on the mats. You know, they'll train,
literally live on the
and
mats.
then go get lunch and sleep, take a nap, and then come back, and then they're training again. You know what I'm saying? But if you're running a business and you've got kids and you got this and you got that, it makes it hard to keep up with all. You can't. You just can't. So, you know, I just feel like it's there's certain things within your power and your time frame that you can do. So, you know, we do them, you know, and I feel like weightlifting, I'm not trying to look a certain way. I just do it because I know I like it, but I'm also, you know, I'm getting older. I need to stay with it, and plus it helps me out here, man.
I don't want man boobs.
Yeah, man.
You know?
I'm not big on the whole dad bod thing, man. You know, the thing for me though that pushes me is like, for my students, like I work with so many people, and I had a wrestling coach in high school. I had 2, the head coach and the assistant coach. Not fat shaming or anything, but man, this guy was a huge, big guy. He was really overweight. He was a head wrestling coach, and he laid on the mat while the assistant coach had on the sweats. He was probably about 170-ish. He was in there shooting the singles, shooting the doubles, and showing us all the drills. And this guy's on the side of the mat with like a super big gulp cup, you know, drinking a Pepsi or something, you know, coaching from the sidelines. And here there's other guys in here, and it just stuck with me. It just always just stuck with me. Like, I'm never gonna be that guy. Like, I'll never do what that guy's doing. So in order for me to help people and for them to trust me, I have to look the part, and I have to be the part, and I want to be that part. And so when they come up to me, like, they can ask me about nutrition and lifting weights and running and training, because I do all that, when I'm like, well, you know what, I don't do any of that. Go talk to that guy over there. He can probably help you out better. But I'm the head coach. You know, I've always been that her volleyball coach was like that. When she quit volleyball, I was like, man, thank you, man. It's about time, because her coach was like that. Again, not fat shame, man. Like, but her assistant coach was out there showing her how to volley and set, and her other coach was, I don't know what it is, but she had a super big gulp cup too, man. They just love these big things, man.
Those things have gotten bigger over the years,
man,
too.
and she would just sit there and coach, and I'm in the bleachers, and I'm just thinking, man, that's not coaching, that's not leadership, that's not what I want for my kid, you know what I'm saying? And it just brought me back to wrestling. I was like, that's exactly what I went through. So when I didn't want her to quit, because I wanted her to quit because she loved volleyball and I like watching her play. But when she wanted to quit, I was happy, because, you know, that chick was just getting a paycheck, man, from the school district. You know, she really didn't care. You know what I'm saying? My head coach, wrestling coach, was just getting some extra money to go and sit on the mat and tell this other guy to go coach and tell me what to do. I'm never going to be that guy. I'm the guy on the mat training, running, working out, doing all the things that I do because of the stuff that those are just some examples of why that I'm just not, man. Like, you know, I can't do that. I won't do that.
For sure.
So that's it. You know, I just feel like that's just how I'm built. You know what I mean? So
I got you.
Yeah.
And so Daniel, how old are you now?
25.
25.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
26.
Wow.
In like
I
a
thought
month.
maybe 21. Cool. Okay.
Yeah, time is flying.
Yeah. And so, did you go off to college at all or no?
I did. So I went to Texas State in San Marcos my first year. Had a great time.
No jiu-jitsu down there.
No jiu-jitsu. I did well in school, but I was also partying, living that sorority
I
life.
was hating it. Bro.
What rank were you when you went down to school?
Purple belt. Yeah, I was purple belt. I had just gotten my purple belt, actually. I went to Rio, I think July of 2012 after I graduated high school. Went to Rio, I won as a blue belt. Had a lot of tough matches in Brazil at the Tijuca Tennis Club. That was fun. Then I got my purple belt on the podium. Then in August, I think I did maybe a local tournament. I fought like a black belt. I fought brown belt, a purple belt, and a black belt that day. And then actually I think the next week I went off to college at Texas State. So I had like one little experience of purple belt underneath my belt before I left. Didn't have any jiu-jitsu. Came home a few times, and I would train on the weekend when I came home. But other than that, I wasn't training at all. So I took like a good year off from training. And then I was like, man, I miss it too much. I was on Instagram and Facebook watching all the other girls that I was competing against previously doing their thing, you know, traveling and winning and staying in shape.
The ultimate
I wasn't
sting.
staying in
the
shape.
Ultimate sting.
Yeah, so I was like, man, I have to get back out there. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, that's what I really want to be doing, you know. So I moved back home after my freshman year and I went to UTA. So I was training jiu-jitsu here and then I was going to school on campus as well.
It's University of Texas Arlington for you
Yes.
listeners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, have you made the choice to make jiu-jitsu a full-time career type lifestyle? I mean, I know that it's your quote-unquote lifestyle, but like in terms of profession?
Yes. So kind of like when I was in college, like I would always get the question, like, what do you want to do, you know? So back then I didn't really kind of believe that I could do what my dad is doing as, you know, a woman or just, I don't know, me personally. But as the years have gone on, like I know, like, I can do that. Like I want to be like my dad, you know, a business owner, growing my own students and just living the jiu-jitsu lifestyle all day long. So I think back then I knew I would say that's what I wanted to do, but I don't think I believed in it as much as I do now. So that's definitely what I want to do jiu-jitsu forever.
So was the plan to attack this as a duo, or are you going to open your own school one day? Do you have any? I know you're a female black belt, so you're in a different boat than us males, to be honest. I know it could be it's a different world, but the sport is massively growing.
Yes.
You know, like even us males, we constantly post memes about, you know, females should train and this is why and blah blah blah, and the whole anti-rape thing and just all that kind of stuff. Do you what's your plans?
I like to have my own gym.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would like for her to have her own identity, her own brand, her doing her own, totally separate from me.
Just don't get married. Change your last name.
Yeah.
All right? Change your last name.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like the Gracies.
Yeah.
We get married, but I'm still an Alvarez.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's cool. Do you have any like upcoming plans for that? Or are you just chilling out for now, working here? Or?
I would like to start kind of more focusing on it. I would like to still, like right now, I had a knee surgery. I don't know if I mentioned that, but so I'm kind of still getting back into the groove of competing more. I kind of feel like I missed a lot. He was traveling a lot while I was kind of doing rehab and stuff like that. So I want to get more momentum in competing, and then hopefully within the next few years be able to do that.
Yeah, so being 25, you still got a few years left in the adult black belt division.
Yeah, it
And
makes it hard.
It's going to take away from it a little bit when you go to open a gym.
Yeah.
But having a good example with the gym and memberships and, you know, all the things that your dad's done here, I think it'll make it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
You know, I was winging it, to be
Yeah.
honest. I mean, all of us were, right? We're just like,
Yeah, we just wanted to train.
will you
jiu-jitsu.
pay me $100?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet!
Yeah.
You know, so having that example and just already being in the mindset, I'm sure you know how to register people, all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
right? And so that's pretty cool. And I actually did a photo shoot one time at an all-female school in Long Beach. I think it was Long Beach. It was outside of Worlds. It was all yellow. I did a leg lock spread, 10-page spread in Jiu-Jitsu magazine. I think Drysdale was on the cover. But I'll never forget, it was a all female, not all female, but she was a female owned. I don't want to misquote it. I hate doing the whole quote thing, but I thought she was the first one in America to be a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. She was the lightest in the world. I think she was 98 pounds. But she also owned her own school. She was like Filipino or something like that. One of the Asian descents made her a little smaller. But yeah, that was interesting. I'm gonna look that up. I'll send you guys a message because it's gonna mess with my brain. But yeah, so that was one place that I had been to. And you said you go to San Diego. You go to Leticia Ribeiro's?
Yeah.
And you've been doing that for a while, because I remember seeing you go do that.
Yeah.
Just to be around probably other gangster female black belts, right?
Yeah,
you know?
that, and then also the mindset. Like, there's a lot of girls that are trying to do what I'm trying to do. You know, it helps when you have a group of people, few at least, that are on the same path. You know.
I just want to know if you get to grapple with Bia.
Oh yeah,
That's
definitely.
my heart
Yeah, she
Over
calls
the past
crying,
few
dude.
years, yeah, we're pretty close friends, and then obviously once I got my black belt, we became pretty frequent training partners. Like Leticia's always like, Danielle, go with Bia. Like, again? Like, I just went with her, you know. So.
I wanted to ask a question. Speaking of Bia, joking around saying she's my heartthrob. She's a very pretty girl. You're a pretty woman, okay? And I know it's your dad's gym, so it's a little bit different. Do you ever run into the problems of guys in like grappling and rolling? Do you get guys sliding into the DMs? You know what I'm saying? Is that a problem?
Yeah, but not really from our gym. I think I have a lot of people
Others?
respect him, you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like I get a lot of respect because people respect my dad. So nothing like that really from our own students, you know. Definitely the
Outside.
people that live, you know, wherever else. But yeah.
I hear crazy stuff from girls like, you know, you're a black belt, so it's a little bit different, but like, hey, I'll give you private lessons, come train with me, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
you
I
get
hear
some
all
weird
kinds.
messages.
Yeah, do you? Yeah.
Yeah,
occasionally.
That sucks.
Yeah, well, not all people that do jiu-jitsu are good people, man. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Like some people that do jiu-jitsu are just like anything else, you know. And like you said, it does help that I'm jiu-jitsu black belt is my school. So I think, you know, if they do it the right way, it's cool, you know. I mean, if you're interested, you know what I'm saying. But I mean, you know, you're just doing like just some dumb stuff, man.
Yeah.
You gotta have some respect, man. You train
Yeah.
here, you could easily just be like, that's the last time you train here, man.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
exactly.
So, you know, you gotta keep it on the cool. But she shared some things with me before, and I'm just like, people are crazy, man. You know, like, dude, just
Bold.
just block them.
Bold,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Yeah, just block them.
Yeah, just block them. Yeah, because I've ran into that with females that I have, you know, it's other gyms, stuff like that. I've talked to girls about it throughout the industry, and it's a bummer because
It
all
is,
we're trying to
it
do
is.
is like, oh, we got another girl on the mats, you know, and
Yeah.
the other, you know what I mean, trying to get another girl on the mats in a good way. I'm saying, so not
Right.
just like, but then the other catch-22 is we are also both passionate about the same thing. So you would want to be involved with someone who's passionate about the same thing, you know. Not to bring this subject up too bad in front of your dad.
Yeah. No, but it's
But it's a
because
subject,
it's
you know?
a subject that, you know, that it's you know, I mean, it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? And you know, you can't be mad at anyone for that, you know what I'm saying? You know, if they're really trying to like maybe see her or something, you know what I mean? If they're really interested, you know what I mean? But then, you know, like some of the stuff, like she said, you know, people say dumb stuff, you know, they just inbox her like with some retarded stuff, you know, like, okay, but
It's kind of like whistling to chicks outside.
yeah, you know.
Like, does that ever work for
Yeah,
you?
yeah, exactly, you know, but, you know, it is what it is, you know, she's, yeah, you know, jiu-jitsu black belt, been training a long time, she's good at what she does, like you said, she's pretty, like, and it's like, you know, I'm maybe trying to date her or something like that, you know, but there's always a process to do that, man, but I have yet to have anyone come up and be like, so Mr. Alvarez, I'd like to date your daughter, you know what I mean? That no one.
That's
All
the
people are
ultra
scared
respectful
of
way.
it,
That's the ultra respectful way, right?
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the steps you gotta take, man. That's the steps you gotta take. You know
So
what I'm
have
saying?
you ever thought about MMA?
She is.
A little bit, yeah. I don't know.
She gets hyped sometimes.
Yeah, I do.
When it's on, she's like, I want to do that. I'm like, all right,
Yeah, I
well,
do.
let's
I
do
get
it.
hyped.
Let's do it. You know, I think she'd be good at it.
Have you ever taken any striking classes?
No, I want to. I definitely want to learn. I don't know for sure if I'd ever fight, but I definitely want to be able to learn, do some
Throw some bows?
stand up. Yeah.
There you
I'd
go.
like
Be
to see
fun.
her. I'd like to see her do
I think
it.
it'd be fun,
You know,
yeah.
I think she'd be good at it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you don't know until you try it.
Yeah.
You know. So I mean, it's a different feeling when you actually hit something. You know what I'm saying? You know, jiu-jitsu, you have fun like tapping people out, but then a different feeling when you get to.
It's also a different feeling when you get hit.
Yeah, when you get
Yeah.
hit.
I can quit like this in jiu-jitsu. I getting that hit. And I have an incredible respect for MMA fighters. I've coached everywhere from amateur local shows to the UFC, you know, and man, there's been a couple times, especially when I was with Johnny Bedford when he fought in the UFC, and we walked out, and I was like, oh my god, this is gotta be, this is intense for me, and I'm not even fighting.
You're not even fighting. You're gonna be on the other side of the cage. You know
Get
what I'm
him, Johnny,
saying?
right?
Yeah.
And you're speaking of Abu Dhabi. There was only 2 outside or outdoor fights, same place. It was Abu Dhabi for the UFC. It was the only everything else has been indoor for the UFC. And I mean, we were inside the Ferrari racetrack on Yaz Island. There was helicopters dropping. There were sheiks walking to their front row. Like it was insane. We walked out. I was just like, dang! It gave me chills. It was very intense. And then he also fought the same guy, Hani Yahya, who's an ADCC gold medalist, and I think he was a gold medalist in Brasilia. So we ended up fighting him in his hometown because Johnny got a no contest. There was an accidental headbutt that happened in Abu Dhabi. So he ended up fighting him in Brasilia, Brazil. And that was intense too. You know, the Brazilians they want to skin you alive when you're walking out as an American in those arenas, but just like the arenas. Amateur MMA, it's still going to be nerve-wracking. It's still like you still get that jive, but holy smoke, some of these big arenas, it's like wow, it is very intense. Like my level of respect for what those guys go through in terms of their nerves, that is super intense.
Having the mental fortitude to like block all that out and still go.
And then the stadium, you don't realize how much after a while the stadium goes dark and the lights are just on the cage. Like it's super intense. Like you can smell popcorn across the arena because it's like you're just every sense in your body is just elevated. You know, it's a trip for sure. Well, that's cool. I'm excited for you to open up a gym. I'll come train. Actually, you know what? I was gonna say something earlier. You were talking. I learned something from you. I still use to this day. You guys were at Octagon MMA. I forgot why we were there. Maybe you were training with Bruno. Shout out to Bruno Bastos from Lead Jiu-Jitsu, right? Danny is connected with him. I think Bruno was there, and it was a reverse De La Riva, and it's a tripod variation. You pushed on their hip, and you caught their other leg.
Oh, yeah.
You were doing that before it was popular.
All the time,
You were doing that before it was popular. Now I use it with a variation that Keenan Cornelius uses with Mantis Guard. It's a combination of reverse De La Riva, like that way. And people in my circle know, I was like, I watched Danielle do that back in the day. She used to make us go fall over.
I've seen her take people right off their feet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I probably did it 5 times this morning. You know what I mean? Like, you get people, they pressure in or pressure away, and then you catch that trip, you know, the modified tripod from there. That was the first time I was like, oh, this is awesome. You know, like, I learned something from everyone.
Yeah.
You imagine being a tournament director. I watch 1,000 matches a day. I've learned omoplata variations from a 12-year-old orange belt. You know what I mean? Like you see so many matches and so much going on. You also see waves of stuff happen. Okay, Barada came out with his Barada Plata DVDs. For the next 3 to 6 months, I start seeing Barada Platas. Then it fades away. Certain things stay. Yeah. The Bolo stayed. You know, Williams guard is a big one. A lot of people use right now instead of rubber guard. You know, like. There's just a lot of little fads that come in and out that'll right now it's Ashi. It's incredible how the leg locks, and then I feel like the general population is 2 to 4, sometimes 5 years behind what the guys are already winning worlds. Like we weren't berimboloing when the Mendez brothers first won worlds in berimboloing, you know, and so we all start to catch up. So that phase comes later, you know. And so it's really interesting to watch those phases come through. But I always tell people in my circle, I was like, Danielle was doing that before it was popular. You know?
Yeah, it's good. It's just good.
For sure.
It's really good.
And in the gi, they got the extra grips, so they can't post. They fall on their side and everything. Before we wrap it up here, we'll do this walkthrough. You guys got any website, Instagram, anything like that you want to shout out? You go ahead and do your thing.
Yeah, everything is, for us, or for me, it's just Alvarez BJJ, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Of course, the website's just alvarezbjj.com. Pretty simple. Try to make it pretty simple for everyone. Of course, she's all over social media sites too.
Yeah, I'm just Danielle R. Alvarez. So I post a lot about, you know, the gym, working out, CrossFit, traveling, training, competitions.
Yeah, I don't really post anything personal much. Everything I post is jiu-jitsu related of some sort, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's good stuff.
for you listeners, I highly suggest you guys come over here. It's probably the most impressive facility for jiu-jitsu in DFW, if not Texas. Obviously, you got 2 black belt world champs, so you can take your pick if you want to train with a girl or a guy. You know, because like we said, there's a lot of girls out there who want to do what you're doing. You know, I would suggest you come train with her. And same thing with Danny. Showed a great technique earlier from butterfly guard. I'll put that on YouTube and Instagram. You guys can check that out. I appreciate you guys' time.
I appreciate you coming out.
Good getting to know you.
Thank you.
All right.